STABmons is a competitive format available for play on Pokemon Showdown under the permanent Other Metagame tab, and within the tier, any Pokemon can use any move that corresponds with the user's own typing. Due to this, there are a lot of bans. Many Pokemon obviously are quite overpowered when given moves like Dragon Dance, Shore Up, Ceaseless Edge, and more. But some bans aren't as easily explained as ones like this. So today, I'll be covering a multitude of niche selected bans that have occurred throughout the tier's lifespan of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Our first Pokemon for today is Komala, who uses its unique ability to become an incredibly frustrating Pokemon to battle against. The reason being is that due to Sleep Talk being a normal type move, and its ability rendering it as technically asleep at all given points of a match, Komala is able to have Sleep Talk in one slot and Roar in the second, making it capable of using a +0 priority Roar when called via Sleep Talk, which while it doesn't sound game-breakingly broken on the surface, especially given its lower speed tier compared to other threats in the metagame, when taking into account its ability to pivot out on any incoming faster Mon, as well as use a Choice Scarf to bypass its slower speed, Komala becomes an incredibly frustrating and luck-based Pokemon to fight against. The only answer to Komala really was in Gholdengo, who can block Roar with Good as Gold, but even this was flawed, as once again all Komala had to do was simply pivot out into any other Pokemon that beats Gholdengo and wall it from there. This was particularly effective alongside Ting Lu, who could use Ceaseless Edge to gradually wear down Gholdengo while setting up spikes, and then parting shot away on a pivot back into Komala to roar the rest of Gholdengo's team with increased spike damage. On top of this, with the other 4 slots of its team still available, teams could pack a Steel type with Encore like Tinkaton, who could Encore Mortal Spin users or pack their own Gholdengo to block hazard removal like Rapid Spin, Mortal Spin, and Defog. All of this combined makes Komala into a very obvious ban once delved into past surface level, as phasing without negative priority is one of the most broken things that could ever be implemented into Pokemon, and as such, Komala was banned before it even got a chance to be played within the tier. Our next Pokemon is Lilligant-Hisui, a Pokemon who's had a few stints in OEU by testers wanting to make it work, yet it's rarely ever seen much actual success. But within STABmons, it'd be assumed that its signature move, Victory Dance, would be incredibly powerful on fighting types like Iron Valiant. And it is. In fact, Victory Dance itself is banned. But Lilligant-Hisui isn't banned by response. Instead, it's banned due to its ability Hustle and its access to Flower Trick. Flower Trick is the unique move to Meowscarada that always guarantees a critical hit, a very helpful and strong benefit. But a rarely talked about secondary effect of Flower Trick is that, like moves such as Aura Sphere and Phantom Force, Flower Trick can't miss, being an always 100% accurate move under every circumstance. This, alongside Victory Dance and Hustle-boosted Flower Trick, made Lilligant-Hisui an incredibly powerful Pokemon. Even if it couldn't reliably use fighting stabs due to Hustle, it really didn't need to, since with Hustle-boosted Flower Tricks, it could clear out even the bulkiest of resists, especially common walls like Landorus, who fails to counter with Intimidate due to Flower Trick's critting property. In fact, this was actually a very recent ban, with Hisui and Lilligant only being banned during the OMPL, where it showed its power very well, especially in this match between FC and Hacker, where FC led off with Lilligant and was able to deal an astounding 41% to a Raging Bolt, a resist that also packs a very solid defensive stat spread to boot, with an incredible base 125 HP stat and 91 defense. Overall, despite being present since week 1 of the OMPL, the STABmons Council made the decision to ban Hisui and Lilligant on July 4th, shortly after week 6 of the OMPL had ended, for being simply too powerful, being able to one-hit KO numerous Glacier threats in the tier with its Flower Trick and Hustle combo, and 2-hit KO almost all of the tankiest pivots available to use against it. Araquanid is another Pokemon introduced out of Generation 7 to be banned within the STABmons tier, and it, much like Komala, is most specifically considered broken thanks to its signature ability, Water Bubble. Water Bubble has the unique property of boosting all Water-type moves' base power by 2 times, something incredibly powerful alongside one of Water-type's strongest moves in the tier, Water Shuriken. The move exclusive to Greninja and Excelgor in standard play, hits 2 to 5 times, but the most important part is that it has priority, which makes up for Araquanid's corest issue, its low speed. But hey, why would Araquanid care? Even with access to Water Shuriken, it surely would want to simply use moves such as Surging Strikes and First Impression or Jet Punch off of its far higher physical attack stat. And yeah, you'd think so, until you remember its bug typing grants it the unique access to Tail Glow, allowing it to boost its special attack by 3 stages in one singular turn, and become an incredible sweeper off of that. To push this, Araquanid didn't really have to care about being hit at all, as due to its naturally pretty great bulk, Araquanid would very rarely face a threat that could truly OHKO it. Even Thunderclap users struggled, as due to Water Shuriken's own priority, if Araquanid outsped the Thunderclap user, they'd quickly be OHKO'd by Water Shuriken, and since it didn't really need to worry about its speed either, it could invest strongly into its bulk to further make setup even easier for it. On top of this, its stab combo hits incredibly well to many walls within the tier, Bug Buzz hitting many dark types either neutrally or super effectively, and Water Shuriken hitting ground and fire types super effectively. Given Araquanid only needed 1 turn to become a brutal sweeper, it was no surprise it was banned, with its core counters being mons like Kyurem and Ogerpon Wellspring, 2 mons that have since been banned themselves. But if this is all true, why not simply ban Tail Glow or Water Shuriken? Well, this was argued, but beyond Araquanid, there aren't many Pokemon that really want Tail Glow. Even if it boosts special attack by 3 stages, most Pokemon don't desire it. Even Volcarona doesn't want it, as it needs a speed increase to make a powerful sweep. The reality of it is that Araquanid just had a very unique and incredible stab combo that gave it access to 2 moves that when combined together became very strong. And to boost this, its ability made sure to make up for Water Shuriken's lower power compared to some other options. This isn't to say Water Shuriken isn't good though, it does have a sweeper currently in place. 2 in fact, in both Rotom Wash and Volcanion, who both use Torch Song plus Water Shuriken to abuse their bulk to set up, and sweep with Water Shuriken. But unlike Araquanid, they simply are not as good because they don't pack its insane ability, which goes to show just how important a good ability can be compared to stats, especially given Araquanid only has a natural base 50 special attack. In the end, Araquanid was banned on January 1st, only 18 days after it was introduced via the DLC 2 for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Porygon Z. What a Pokemon. Typically strong in standard play, but held back by only having truly great damage on normal type moves, of which it only gets 1 of in Tri-Attack. Yet within STABmons, holds a record for being the quickest ban to take place after DLC 2 that wasn't just a standard prior to implementation ban like Necrozma Dawnwings or the such. Porygon Z is a fairly easy to describe ban. With access to Boom Burst, it could very simply clear out nearly any Pokemon with a boost, be it via Choice Specs, Nasty Plot, or other. On top of this, during the time Porygon Z was allowed within STABmons, Terra was also allowed, making Porygon capable of boosting its normal damage even farther with the likes of Terra Normal. But you'd imagine Porygon Z would still be manageable, as it still has very clear weaknesses like its poor bulk, low speed, and reliance on normal type damage. So despite this, how did it still thrive? Well, Porygon Z did in fact need a lot of supporting teammates, typically very slow, bulky mons that could reliably pivot out to bring in Porygon, as well as ones that could handle its lack of bulk and resistances for it. And while this sounds like a big trade-off for its use, it's quite easily counteracted by one of the most common walls in the tier, Ting Lu, who could Parting Shot to give Porygon easy openings, Ceaseless Edge to break through ghost types that Porygon can't hit, and with its good bulk and access to Shore Up, it could repeatedly do this, and assist Porygon in matchups it couldn't win against, like fast offensive threats like Iron Valiant, Terrakion, and Iron Boulder, by swapping through to another faster mon that could break through them for it. Porygon Z, while it did require a lot of support, was the kind of mon that could immediately win a match after the rest of its team cleared out the few specific threats that fully beat it, which many teams didn't even pack in the first place. But wait, some cried, what about Blissey or Chansey? So that argument got shut down pretty quickly. But Porygon Z didn't have to rely on just specs, it also had incredibly potent Scarf sets to ignore its less than great speed tier, as well as a Double Dance set with agility and Nasty Plot that let it set up and become an impossible to survive special attacker for basically 99% of the tier, only needing Boom Burst and Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball to shatter a team. But one other mon was actually compared to Porygon Z earlier in this generation, and just like Porygon Z, it was banned for a very similar reason. Zoroark-Hisui, while it lacks as good of defenses as Porygon Z, which were already lacking to begin with, as well as lacking adaptability, was still incredibly broken within the tier during the time span in which it was allowed. Most sets ran off of specs, using its high speed tier and incredible special attack to become a massive threat, and on top of this, Zoroark packed 2 major benefits that Porygon Z only wished it could: Stab Shadow Ball and U-Turn. On top of this, its ability Illusion actually played a very annoying role in a match, as typically most players don't worry much about Illusion, but when attempting to swing at a mon that could OHKO you with the strongest Boom Burst to touch the blue skies, you needed to be insanely precautious, as one wrong move could mean a Boom Burst scorching your team, or an actual mon setting up straight in your face. Oh, and if you did happen to swap into a wall on Zoroark, and were relieved to find out it was actually Zoroark, your happiness and progress will be quickly diminished. Because of course, it gets tricked too. Porygon Z, while more broken in terms of flat, brute offensive power, almost OHKOing anything barring a ghost type with Boom Burst, had no match to Zoroark's incredible mind games, and insanely good typing for its role too. Oh, and on top of this, don't dare forget Zoroark has a great attack stat too. While lower than its special attack obviously, it could use these mind games to its advantage with Rage Fist, Hyper Drill, and Swords Dance. Even if it was a hyper niche set, forgetting it could mean a loss in just one turn. And for today, that's all I have to cover. If you'd like another part in the series, then let me know down below. And thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to subscribe, and I hope to see you all next time. Thank you.